you're writing the path in, but you're not necessarily writing the path out.
Exactly. And I
In
think you
these,
should
yeah,
leave kids with questions. I don't think you should tie off everything nice and tidy. Sorry, I hate the word should, and I shouldn't tell anyone else how to write. But for me,
yeah,
leaving things a little open to interpretation is good because that's the way life is.
yeah. Well, you don't explain everything plot wise either. Like you leave some room for the kids, for your readers to figure things out. It's there in the story for them. If they want to think about it, they're questions posed for the main characters, and plot elements. And speaking of maybe a bit of a spoiler, in I'll try to be careful with with Bright Sea. There's the story identity of someone that the main character is looking for. Um, it's not explicitly answered, right? There's hints, and um, there could be considered strong hints, but it's not. It's also possible that those hints are not leading the place that you might think as a reader. And the characters never reach that conclusion. So there is a tendency, I think, for a lot of writers, especially newer writers, to think that they have to wrap everything up, to answer everything. It's all just either happily ever after or everybody died. Um, your stories, I think, are some of the better examples that I might point a writer towards, to look at something where things are not always answered, but the story can still feel complete or at least content with itself.
Yeah, I like that the way you put that. People say, "How do you know when a story's done? How do you know when you're finished, when a book's over?" And that's a really hard one to answer because I don't until it ends. It's just it's a feeling like the end of a piece of music. You can feel that the end is coming, and so maybe that therefore leads you to write as if it is truly ending. But that doesn't mean that everything gets wrapped up and tied off in a bow. Sometimes I've had to answer to thousands of kids who want to know desperately what happens after the end of Beyond the Bright Sea or Mountain, those two especially. And they have all these plans for a sequel. They have mapped it out exactly what's going to happen next and how I should write the sequel, and which I'm not sure I'll ever do. But I always say to them, "Well, you're clearly a storyteller. I think you should go write the story you want to tell." And maybe someday I'll pick up the threads and continue weaving them, but I might not. And so you'll just have to decide in your imagination what happens after the end.
I imagine you get a lot of questions from the younger readers there. Um, there's there, and I think some of this is a reflection. This is me kind of supposing an answer here, I guess, but some of this is a reflection of that interiority, like that it's not the plot events that happen that are the purpose of the story. It's where the character arrives at emotionally or in their own personal journey that is the end point of the story, whether the plot thingies have happened in the order that we suppose they should.